Do you know that two-thirds of Americans would have already experienced a traumatic event by the age of 16? Do you also know that 70% of the American population has lived experience with trauma? So, what are some things that we can do to help heal from trauma? Well, there's a lot of things. The next four steps that I'm about to share with you are evidence based. So, I shared the links down in the description for you to see for yourself. However, their order of importance is my personal opinion. So, without further ado, the first one and the one that I think is the most important is acceptance. And when I say acceptance, that means you being able to process that the situation occurred and doing something about it, going to a professional and having it addressed. So, when it comes to trauma, it's a lot like a physical wound. If you have a gaping hole in your arm and you know that you are not qualified to clean it and to sew it back up, you shouldn't try to do it yourself. The same goes with emotional and mental wounds. Go to a professional that's trained in order for you to be able to get the care that you need. On top of that, too, if you don't accept it, it's hard for you to be able to get the healthy coping mechanisms that you need in order for you to move on with your life. The next thing is self care. Self care is very important and it comes in different forms. So, self care means doing things that you enjoy, that you love, that make you feel good. That means preparing your favorite healthy meal, watching a movie, going for a walk if that's what you enjoy, or maybe painting if that's something that you use for your own self care. Now, the other one for self care is the physical aspect of it. When it comes to exercise, there's a lot of evidence that proves that exercise helps you with your mental resiliency. That means that if you're dealing with a stressful experience or a trauma, you are going to be more resilient and you'll be able to cope and deal with it a lot better. So the next one is take back your old routine. Of course, with taking back your old routine, you have to think about what's realistic based on what your traumatic experience was. And I know that for some people, going back to your old routine may not be realistic at first or maybe ever, but you have to be able to create a new sense of normalcy. Going back to your old routine is going to help your body and your mind know that the danger is over, that the trauma is now in the rearview mirror. And that does a lot as far as your perspective goes. Because, for example, with PTSD, one of the main factors of it is that you relive the experience over and over again. If you are able to go back to your normal routine, it puts you back in the here and now, and it puts the trauma in the rearview mirror. And last but not least, avoid addictive substances and behavior. When it comes to addictive substances, of course, I would hope that you know and understand that I mean alcohol and drugs. And when it comes to alcohol and drugs, sometimes we try to use it to shut off one emotion, be it sadness, fear, hurt. But one of the things that we don't know, or that sometimes we don't know or realize, is that drugs, they shut down all emotions. And it's going to kill your ability for you to be able to also feel happiness. Another addictive thing, or another aspect of the addictive things is your addictive behavior. You want to stay away from doing things in excess. For example, earlier I mentioned exercise. Over exercising in order for you to deal with trauma is also just as harmful as using a substance, or even over shopping. Those are all things that are hard for you to sustain, and they give you pleasure in the short term. They give you relief in the short term, but it's hard for you to be able to sustain it. When it comes to shopping, eventually you'll run out of money. And when it comes to substances, eventually you're going to need more in order for you to be able to get that same high. So, those are the four steps that I think are most important. Of these four steps, write down in the comment which one you think is one that you could use to help you deal with your stress or trauma. I'll see you on the next one.